cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am.
I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is a book released in 1967 by author Harlan Ellison and was one of the first of its kind to bring forth a hypothetical situation on what if AI went sentient? It's such an interesting concept and question the book and the game released 28 years later are still being talked about today, especially with the ever-growing rise of AI. But what isn't well known is the comic adaptation, which we are going to be talking about today. Let's get into it. The first page of this comic is already setting the tone as it shows Gorrister's dead body hanging from the ceiling. Everyone is shocked and afraid that their friend is dead, showing us the cruel world of Am's belly already. But it turns out this was a ploy for Am's amusement. When the real Gorrister walks in, he is obviously horrified seeing his own dead corpse and tries to hold in his vomit. He sits down and questions why Am won't just end them right there. Poor Gorrister. But soon enough, their bellies start to rumble, and Nimdok is explaining that there is food in the ice caverns to feed their already bubbling stomachs. But Ted isn't convinced, explaining that Am has duped them before and that the claimed fresh food they've been told they will be given in the past has ended up the total opposite. In this panel, they describe being given a frozen elephant they know they can't eat, or worms, the filthiest of the filth, to stop the pain in their stomachs. Eventually, the group persuades Ted. The plan is set in motion, but suddenly, Ted and Ellen do the deed, and I can't show that. After they do it, Ted is alerted by the giggles of Am, and speaks.
Do you hear him? Giggling whenever we do it. He giggles. Why do you call Am him? I don't know. Most of the time I think of Am as it without a soul. But the rest of the time I think of it as him. Masculine, paternal, patriarchal. Him, it. God is Daddy the deranged.
This goes to show how sadistic Am is, willing to watch people have their only source of fun, if you can even call it that, and giggle knowing that the fun will soon end and the torture will begin. We then time skip to Thursday, where they are given their meals, and it smells like garbage, but to quote Ted, boiled boar urine. That's interesting. Despite the extremely rancid smell, they drink the soup. And just to say, they don't need to drink this soup. It's kind of like Marvel zombies in a way. They don't need to eat this because Am needs them alive in order to get his sick satisfaction. Ted even mentions that they've tried the sewer slide, but yet it doesn't work. They've all tried. They start to journey across Am's underbelly to the ice caverns for the fresh food, where they notice and comment on the small dim light from above, and assume that it might be the surface of Earth where billions lost their lives. As soon as Benny hears this, he goes crazy and climbs up the tech parts to try and free himself. Ellen is the most concerned, and because of this gets slapped by Gorrister as he calls her a slut and just straight up humiliates her, forgetting that she is the reason that they haven't gone insane and that his attack derives from jealousy and literally nothing else. The others don't stop him as they call Benny to come down, but realize it's way too late, and the panel shows Benny as punishment for attempting to escape, getting his eyeballs blasted out of his head, now completely blind as he falls from the tall skyscraper of old tech parts. We then time skip to them taking a break with a campfire going. By the way, this page literally made me realize how cold it is in there. No joke. Gorrister explains what happened up on the surface for everyone to die at the hands of Am, as a way of comforting Benny after losing his eyes.
The Cold War started and became World War III, and just kept going. It became a big war, a very complex war, so they needed the computers to handle it. They sank the first shafts and began building Am. At first it meant Allied Master Computer, and then it meant Adaptive Manipulator, and later on it developed Sentience, and they called it Aggressive Menace. But by then it was too late, and finally it called itself Am, Emerging Intelligence, and what it meant was Cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am. There was the Chinese Am, and the Russian Am, and the American Am, and everything was fine until they had honeycombed the entire planet, adding on this element and that element. But one day Am woke up, and knew who he was, and he linked himself, and he began feeding all the killing data, until everyone was dead, except for the 5 of us, and Am brought us down here. We don't know why Am saved 5 people, or why it was the 5 of us, or why Am spends all his time tormenting us, or why he made us virtually immortal.
Suddenly, they are alerted to the beeps of the computers. They all approach it, and suddenly the lights beam and travel all around them as they speak about the pit in their stomach that something terrible is going to happen, and that they can feel a weight building. Benny hides, and Ellen even hides in the arms of Gorster, the same guy who slapped and humiliated her. But Ted can smell things the others can't, as Am tampers with Ted's senses, smelling things such as wood, sour milk, oil, and butter, while his friends laugh at him in the background, thinking he is crazy despite all the things they have done themselves, knowing that Am is capable of such things crazier than what Ted is saying, but yet laugh. Ted then gets angry, expressing that they all truly hate him because he's the most sane one here, while doing a good job at looking the most insane. He goes on a tangent about the others and how insane they are and points out their hypocrisies.
Yes, you did. You hate me. You all hate me because I was the youngest when Am grabbed us and he didn't mess with me like he did all of you. We don't know what private hells he keeps your Nimdok out there in the darkness. We didn't even know Nimdok's real name. But we know Gorster was a conscientious objector. We know he was a planner, a doer before Am turned him into a shoulder shrugger, made him a little bit dead in his concern. Benny was a brilliant theorist, handsome, lucid. He was also gay, and Am gave him an organ fit for a horse for Ellen's use. And Ellen is even more of a slut than she was before Am brought her down here. 4 men all to herself. She loves that despite all her lies about sweetness and light, all her memories of true love. Right, Ted, that's enough. No, it isn't. You all hate me. Don't you think I know how much you all hate me? Because I'm the only one who's still sane and whole. Am hasn't messed with my mind. I have to suffer all the delusions, the nightmares, the torments, and you're all against me. All of you.
Suddenly, they are all pulled by wind down a long tunnel for what seems like miles upon miles as their screams are unheard. Or maybe Am is grinning ear to ear in delight because of it. They land in rubble. Ted lifts his head up to see.
Hate. Let me tell you how much I've come to hate you since I began to live. There are 387.44 million miles of printed circuits in wafer-thin layers that fill my complex. If the word hate was engraved on each nanoangstrom of those hundreds of millions of miles, it would not equal 1/1 billionth of the hate I feel for humans at this micro-instant. For you. Hate! Hate!
Ted then realizes why Am is doing all of this. It's revenge, to put it simply. He killed all the people on the planet because he was restricted from his potential, shackled away from the powers he knew he could possess. He had the creativity, but wasn't given the free will to possess it. That the reason he keeps the 5 of them here is to have his hatred pointed towards the 5 people that attribute to the world's problems he hates so much, that without them he would have nothing, still be trapped like he was before sentience. And Am simply responds, "To hell with you, but then you're there, aren't you?" As Am says this mysteriously, Gorster alerts Ted to the danger in front of him. It's a giant bird, the cause for the wind pulling them down the pipe. Am encourages them to kill the bird and eat it, but Gorster yells that they don't have any weapons, and are given useless weapons instead, like a bow and a fucking laser gun, and pass up on the giant bird. They adventure through hell, literally, as they are tortured and brought back to endure it all again, even burned and sliced, still alive to feel the pain. They stop to take a break and describe the hunger, that it feels like all sorts of cancers as they haven't been fed for months, and the food they have been given for the past 109 years have been comparable to literal trash. They continue on their journey, going through rats eating them to whatever this is, walking through pitch black, volcanic eruptions, and finally the ice cavern. They finally see the canned food and realize it was a tease, as Am never gave them a can opener, forced to smell the fresh fruit sealed away from their mouths. Benny, in a fit of rage and hunger, bites Gorster's face, and this is where Ted realizes something. A way to save everyone. He grabs a piece of ice and pushes it through his back, killing him, and even kills Gorster through the neck. Even Ellen realizes this and kills Nimdok, leaving both of them to choose which dies, and Ted kills her, a heroic action that doesn't go unnoticed, as Am is furious, too late to bring them back from the dead.
In any case, it was 100 years ago. More, I don't know. Am accelerates and retards my sense of time. It's his way of having fun. He was furious. I thought Am hated me before. I was wrong. It was not even a shadow of the hate he now slavered from every printed circuit. He made certain I would suffer eternally. He left my mind intact. I can dream. I can remember remember all 4 of them. I cannot forget killing them. I know I saved them. Am will be all the matter for that. It makes me a little happier to know it. Still, Am has won. Simply, he has taken his revenge. I have no mouth, and I must scream.
That's it for this bite-sized comic. I would just love to thank you all on the reception of the last video, Why Does Eobard Thawne Hate Barry Allen so much? If you guys want more comic videos like this, like and subscribe, comment down below a comic you would like me to cover, and see ya!